The video opens with a direct question about whether there's any retreat in the immigration enforcement approach. The response is firm: no retreat whatsoever, none at all. Moments after that strong statement, the administration made a surprising move. Citing improved cooperation from local authorities and the ability to carry out the work with fewer personnel in a more secure setting, officials declared an immediate reduction. Starting right now, they are pulling back 700 federal officers from the operation in Minnesota. This shift stands out because just days earlier, the president had been very clear. He called for stronger immigration enforcement measures in Minnesota, insisting on keeping the country secure and doing everything possible to maintain safety. So what explains this change from no backing down to actually scaling back resources? One possibility is that the pressure is finally having an effect. Perhaps a genuine reassessment is underway. Or it could stem from a dramatic political shift like the massive 31-point swing in a traditionally conservative Texas district, forcing a hard look at the broader strategy. That Texas result should concern Republicans deeply. You cannot run an administration built around this kind of policy without running into clear inconsistencies. The president had promised no retreat in Minnesota. In fact, he vowed to ramp up a tough, no-compromise enforcement push. Yet today, the administration confirmed it is withdrawing 700 of those ICE officers, following sustained pushback from state and local leaders. Tom Homan, the president's border czar, explained the decision. With greater levels of partnership now in place, and because the mission can proceed more safely with reduced manpower on the streets, the drawdown of 700 personnel takes effect immediately. To be clear, this is not simply a minor adjustment or tactical shift from the Trump team. It represents a real concession on their part. The core message from the start has been about reestablishing law and order, refusing to back off, and safeguarding communities. But after weeks of intense public demonstrations, 2 tragic fatal shootings involving U.S. citizens at the hands of federal agents, and ongoing street confrontations, that narrative has unraveled. Persistent criticism from local officials turned what was meant to be a flagship effort into a serious political problem for the administration. The day started with signals pointing in the opposite direction. Homan himself had staff from Customs and Border Protection, along with ICE, preparing a plan to reduce forces once violence eased. He noted discussions with the governor and attorney general that would allow resources to start coming down, particularly by handling public safety risks more efficiently in detention facilities with fewer people required on the ground. Despite that, the president, during a brief appearance on the red carpet, appeared to override any immediate plans for a reduction. He stayed largely quiet on the issue throughout the day, letting Homan take the lead in public statements. At a cabinet session broadcast shortly afterward, the president offered thanks but fielded no questions, unusual for someone who typically engages extensively. Local leaders, including Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey, view this withdrawal of 700 officers, even with around 2,000 still in place, as an initial move toward winding down what they've described as an overly harsh federal campaign. To many, it feels like an attempt at damage control. Comments from figures like Greg Movino highlight the frustration. Departures like his wouldn't happen without the death of an innocent person. The apparent double standards in how protesters and agents are held accountable are striking. Kyle Rittenhouse became a symbol for some conservatives after entering a protest armed. Yet here, a man with a valid carry permit who had his weapon taken and was trying to assist a woman affected by tear gas and force from agents is portrayed by others as an agitator. The fundamental right to peaceful protest must be protected and honored. The administration initially framed this as the most extensive immigration enforcement action in history, defending it as essential. But the reduction only came after significant political resistance and the widespread protests that followed. There's a clear shift underway. Something fundamental is changing. Chants from demonstrators captured the sentiment, "No more hate, no more fear. Immigrants are welcome here." Repeated calls for an end to division and anxiety, emphasizing inclusion over hostility. This adjustment did not arise from any drop in crime data. If decisions were truly based on statistics, more agents might be sent to red-leaning states. But those areas supported the president, so the focus elsewhere raises questions. Local officials have condemned the federal presence as aggressive and unwelcome. Protests spread statewide. Schools noted heightened fear among students, and even Minnesota's own police forces called for change. One officer pointed out that even if investigations later determine a shooting was legally justified, the damage is already done. The level of public anger and distrust is too high at this stage. This marks the third shooting incident in under 3 weeks. Last year, the Minneapolis Police Department recovered around 900 guns and made hundreds of arrests for violent crimes without any officer-involved shootings. Now, 2 American citizens have lost their lives, and tensions are at a breaking point. People had warned this could happen again, and many are waiting for leaders on all sides to find a way forward. The current situation is simply not sustainable. The local police force, with only about 600 officers, is severely overstretched managing this added disorder while still serving a major city. It's placing an impossible strain on everyone involved. The administration's approach has proven politically expensive and ineffective. Polls, even those featured on Fox News, show most Americans now feel the immigration enforcement has crossed a line. When asked about ICE's deportation efforts, 59% say too aggressive, only 17% say not aggressive enough, and 24% say it's about right. This aligns with other recent surveys showing support for the policy slipping into negative territory overall. The backlash isn't limited to opinion polls. It's showing up in actual election results. In a Texas special election for a district Trump won comfortably in 2024, the seat flipped from Republican to Democrat. Analysts tie this directly to voter frustration over immigration tactics and the surrounding disorder in the administration. That kind of swing, around 30 points, ought to alarm Republicans and prompt serious reflection. It's not solely Democrats driving these outcomes. Independents and even some Republicans are shifting in these contests. Since the 2024 election, Democrats have flipped 26 seats. This isn't primarily about campaign funding or candidate quality, though those help expand opportunities. It's tied to the chaos created by the president, his handling of the economy, and these failed policies. If congressional Republicans aren't paying attention to how the president's actions are hurting their own races, they're in for a harsh reality check come November. Confidence is growing that Democrats could capture several redistricted seats and counter Republican gerrymandering efforts. Republicans overreached in Texas. They knew the risks months ago. They aimed to strip seats from Democrats, but underestimated the response. California countered strongly with measures like Prop 50, likely gaining seats. Texas remains uncertain, but expecting 5 wins there was unrealistic. Holding 3 will be tough. This mix of damaging poll numbers, even on conservative-leaning outlets, and a concrete electoral defeat in a safe red area is what's driving the recalibration. The administration moved quickly from insisting on no concessions to signaling de-escalation. The president even acknowledged the need for a softer approach, a far cry from his initial hardline stance. That marks a clear admission of ground given. Still, the harm from the original strategy lingers. The Texas outcome, as Ron DeSantis noted in a statement, cannot be ignored. That state Senate seat flipped in a district Trump carried by 17 points, where the Republican outspent the Democrat dramatically, yet the Democrat prevailed. DeSantis observed that while special elections can be unpredictable, a swing this large demands clear-eyed attention to the political landscape ahead of midterms. The protests, resistance, and political consequences that made the initial plan untenable will persist. Accountability for this administration remains essential moving forward.